Today I'm here because I wanted to talk about my transition into tech. A lot of people have been asking me what made me switch, and if you don't know, I was originally in public health. I got my master's of public health in health systems management from Tulane University. And after that, I worked for a small nonprofit as a sex ed teacher. And after I was a sex ed teacher, which was a very interesting job. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. I had some really good coworkers. After that, I worked for the Louisiana Department of Health, and while I was there, I pretty much did some administrative stuff. So I would monitor the contracts and make sure that all of the folks that we were paying to do services, that they were doing it right. I would do audits. I would help with some of the billing and all of that. So it was cool. However, I decided to switch to tech in December of 2020, and I honestly just saw a video on Instagram where it was like high-paying salaries, different jobs with high-paying salaries, and I saw that. They had like a couple others. I was looking at like speech language pathology. They had the school psychologist. They random stuff. And I just kind of like started thinking like, okay, what do I want to do? I know I don't want to do public health anymore. And I did some research. I went on Codecademy and just started taking whatever their, HTML class was. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Look, I can make the screen say hello world. So I just thought that I had enough curiosity and interest to be able to continue into tech. So that's what I did. And the reason that I decided to switch was because I just was feeling kind of burnt out from my previous positions, working in public health, specifically like HIV prevention, adolescent health, teen pregnancy prevention, all of that. It's a bit draining. I won't say I was like completely burnt out, but I just was kind of like, damn, every day is like really emotional. And when like a lot of these agencies care a lot about, social, political, and justice issues. So when things would happen in the world, when you go to work, you would talk about it. It wasn't like most professions where if something crazy happens, they might briefly mention it, but like in public health, it's like, let's sit down, let's have a debrief about the election, let's talk about, Ahmaud Arbery, let's talk about all the things that were happening in media. And while I do appreciate having like a safe space to talk about my feelings and what's going on in the world and how it impacts us all, it was a bit much because the work was already heavy. So then to frequently have these like community therapy sessions was like, I just want a job that is not related to trauma. Like that was really it. And even my whole desire to get into public health in the first place, obviously I was in college, I was only 18, so I kind of just picked something. First I wanted to be a dentist. I don't know why, don't ask me why. I think I just looked up the salaries. I wanted to be a dentist. And then I was like, I watched this like Oprah documentary on this family, and like the whole family was addicted to drugs, and it was really, really sad. The mom, the husband, the son, the baby was born addicted. I was so moved by it, and I just had a lot of people in my family face public health issues. Like I have family members with diabetes, with HIV, with cancer, like all of that. So I felt really compelled to do the work, and it was just like a heart project. Like I just was, or a passion project, a love project. That's all it was. Like my heart into it every single time. When I would go into the schools and as a sex ed teacher, I was doing that because I really wanted to change these kids' lives so that it didn't lead to the outcomes that I had seen in my family and in my community. And while it was nice to do work that I was passionate about, and I have some like really vivid memories of touching the youth, specifically I remember when I let a girl know that HIV isn't a death sentence anymore. Science has evolved to where people can adhere to their medication and that they'll live a long healthy life. And she was like, my sister has HIV and I thought she was going to die. So she was kind of like overwhelmed with joy just to know that it wasn't a death sentence. So that was a really meaningful moment for me in my career. But I felt just like, who would I have been if I had chosen something that wasn't birthed out of my personal trauma? Who would I have been if I explored my other interests and my other curiosities outside of the suffering that I had witnessed? And for me, I always was into creativity. I love making videos. I love creating content. I love writing poetry. I like performing. I'm comfortable with public speaking, things like that. So if all this stuff didn't happen, where would I be at in my career? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'd be a software engineer. Very far-fetched, very random, but maybe. So I started to just really dive into that curiosity that I had for web development, and I took a couple classes on my own. I purchased Colt Steele's Udemy course, the full web developer bootcamp. That was last year in 2021. I did that. I didn't finish the whole bootcamp. It got very hard, very fast. Okay, very fast. But so I didn't finish that one, and then I joined Freemode's bootcamp. Freemode is made by Aaron Jack and Jan. I don't know Jan's last name, but basically Aaron Jack is like famous on YouTube. He went to Hack Reactor, I believe. He worked at like Uber, super wealthy tech guru, and he started his own bootcamp, which teaches about e-commerce development and Shopify. So I started his bootcamp. It was really good. The first 2 modules, HTML and CSS, I think he explained it in a more condensed fashion than the course with Colt Steele. Colt Steele goes into how the internet developed and all types of stuff. Like, Aaron Jack got straight to the point, okay? He was like, look, you type in these angle brackets and it'll input it on the screen. Like, he was just very straightforward. So anyway, I took some of that course, but then I ended up being accepted into Generation USA, which I also have a video on. I'll link that below, but I got accepted into Generation USA while I was completing the Freemode bootcamp, so I decided they have a money back guarantee. I went ahead and dropped out of that because I knew that I was about to take a full stack Java development course with Generation. But yeah, so pretty much the main reasons why I switched out of tech was a little bit of burnout, curiosity about other fields, interest in something outside of trauma and familial history, and also they talk about it all the time, especially on tech TikTok, the money. Some people will say that money doesn't matter, or that you have to be passionate about what you do. You can't just do it for the money, and I don't think that's true, because for one, when you're doing something you're passionate about, you rarely are doing your day-to-day activities are usually not things you're passionate about. I love public health. I care deeply about the populations that I was working with. However, on a daily basis, I was sending emails. I was doing Zoom calls, okay? I wasn't going out in the community and, you know, like, your daily basis, your daily tasks are not always in line with what you are actually passionate about. So to me, I feel like you can do whatever you want, and my passion really comes from desiring security. I believe that tech is a way to accelerate generational wealth. I know that sometimes people get accused of like over exaggerating their salaries online and stuff, but like, it's public information. Like, tech salaries are high. And I also feel like they had a lower barrier to entry than other fields. And what I mean by that is a lot of these tech jobs don't require degrees. They do not require any special training. Some of them don't even care if you have certifications. They really just want to know that you can do the job. If you are self-taught and you can code and you really build like a really nice portfolio, you could get a job. So I like that, because I thought, like, if I want to go back to school for anything else, or I knew I was going to have to get more credentials in public health to get to where I want to get financially. And to me, I just felt like, why would I want to go back and get a whole entire PhD, have to take on several managerial roles, like probably like another 5 years just to get to where I want to get. But with tech, I feel like it may be 2 years, 3 years. It could be less than that. I could get to where I want to be. So those are my reasons for switching to tech. Everybody has their own personal reasons, and maybe this would inspire somebody else. But I say don't go with just what you're passionate about. Go with what you're curious about. Dig in to that inner child and say, what would I do if I could go back to being young and pick anything in the world? What would I do? And go from there. So thank you for listening. Be back soon.